Let's talk for a few minutes about recording audio. When you go to a rodeo event, there's usually an announcer. The announcer is speaking into a microphone. It might look like that. And the microphone is plugged into the PA system. But there is also likely to be music from a phone or iPod music device that they're putting out over the speakers at the same time. So if you are recording with a microphone somewhere in the auditorium or in the competition area, you're going to get a mixture of music and speaking. The music may not be what you want. You don't know that. But if it's mixed together with the speaking, you can never separate it. It's too late. So if you record it separate to begin with, that way you have it in case you need to make a video that has to be sent, sold, or uploaded to a system which will run you into copyright problems because of the music. All you want is the audio. So here's how you do that. Usually a microphone would either have this end on it or they're going to have this end. And they just plug that into their mixer system, and maybe it's channel 1 and channel 2 is their music input, and they have two separate volume controls to control the level of that. Maybe there's even a buzzer that's plugged into it as well, so another channel. Maybe you think it can be done very easily. So if I have some kind of a connection that I can plug into my microphone, maybe like this, and then I take that output and I go to my splitter, like there, then you say, well, I can take one part of that signal and send it to a recording device or to my camera, and then I can just take the other wire, which is soldered to the first one, and I can just send that to the mixer. Well, that doesn't work because, you might hear sound, but the problem is every time they turn the microphone off and on, it changes the impedance of your circuit. And this is not an intelligent circuit at all. So the tone of the sound will change, the volume will change. Actually, it'll cause more problems for the house than it'll cause for you. You'll hear noises and volume changes later if you go to use the sound. But the house people will be complaining that they can't turn it up like they used to. Their voice sounds tinny and they don't like it. So don't use just a Y connector splitter. You need to go out and spend money, and that's why this kit exists. Here is an actual splitter that's designed for that. It's designed for having two inputs. Here we have the inputs. So what you do is you take their microphone and it's got to go into the input of this box. And you just have the house microphone, but you have two different outputs on the back. So the main mic output comes out here and plugs into their system, just like it used to. Nobody will notice anything different. But you take your output and you plug it into the isolated output. So I have a connector here. Here we go. And I now have my output that I can do whatever I want with and send it to my recorder or camera. But this main output in the kit, I've got a extra ordinary microphone cable, typical balanced microphone. So this would plug into the output and it would go to the amplifier just like they normally do. And their microphone connects to your input. Now, the splitter doesn't split an unbalanced mic. These are the cheaper connection. Unbalanced, there's only two connectors, but some people have it. So if you have a high quality mic, it'll plug directly in there. No, into this one. It's upside down, but it'll plug into the main mic input. And if you just need to make an adapter, here mine I'm working one-handed here. Let's see if I can do this. Out of camera, sorry. Okay, and now this changes it. Oops, I put in the wrong connector. Well, there are devices like this, and if you just need a quick change from one type of a connector to another, here we have this, and now I can put in my isolated. Now this looks a bit awkward, and it is, so it's better to have the correct connector, and I actually used it for my demo on the other side, but we'll fix that in a minute. Anyway, so I've got enough. Look at this kit, lots of connectors. You don't need them all every time. So I've got microphone input, in it goes, then it goes out to the mixer like regular, and if you get a buzz with the system, you invert, you press these, it inverts the polarity of the main line connector, or you lift the ground, and sometimes you get a ground loop buzz, and that's just the way sound systems are. Sometimes you get a buzz, sometimes you don't, so you play with that until you get, oh, that's clean sound. And you should always be listening with a headphone if you can to get rid of those sounds. So anyway, now we're back to the main amp. The house system's happy, it's all working. The announcer says, yeah, everything works. Now, what do you do with the sound that comes out of this box? The second sound. You've got the main output going to their mixer, but you've got the isolated output, which goes to you. And you use some kind of a device. You can go directly to your camera, or if your camera is at the other end of the arena, and you're not going to run wires that far unless you do wireless, I use an audio recorder. This audio recorder, I've even got an auxiliary battery pack hanging on the side plugged into the USB, and originally it comes with one battery that's good for about 4 hours. And then it's dead, and you're panicking, you're always thinking, oh, is my battery good? I better run and check. No, don't worry about it. This battery is good for 20 hours by the time I have a battery pack and this together. So there, in this particular recorder is an 8 gig memory stick. I'm just going to turn this on, pull down on this little button there, and it says it's loading. And in high quality WAV file, I've got 10 hours and 40 minutes. Let's just take this off, flip it over, and I'll show you where we are here. If I change it to MP3 format, suddenly I have 58 hours and 50 minutes before it fills that memory card. Anyway, I'm going to put it back to high quality audio. So I've got 10 hours. That's a whole day of shooting. You can turn it on once in the morning and walk away from it, and it will just keep creating 2 gigabyte files that you can import into your computer. And let's just take a look here. Here's the memory card hidden in behind this little chip here. There it is. Popped out. And it's a little mini SD. Pop it back in. And with an adapter you can just import this into your computer very easily. Anyway, how do you use it? So, right now it is recording with these microphones. But with this cable setup that you've got audio coming out of this box, and that audio is isolated by all the electronics on the inside of there, you need to find some kind of an adapter. And look at this. In the kit, for most systems, I have it all here. There's lots of connections because you never know what the system is. But anyway, here's my output. It plugs in. Okay. And at the other end, all it is a mini connector. And that mini connector goes into line in. And when I plug that in, I am now not recording with the microphones. There's nothing happening. It is recording as if I'm directly plugged into the microphone. And the only thing it's recording is the main mic that the person talks in. When they actually turn it off, between the times or the name announcements, there's nothing. It should be blank air, there shouldn't be any buzzing, should be nothing. They turn it on, you might actually hear a little click if they have a cheap mic, and then they go, so-and-so got a time of whatever. And then a lot of times they just turn it off so they can talk in the announcer's booth. So then all of that is being recorded to here. So how do you record it? Do you record with an automatic level, or do you record with manual? You could record automatic and it'll save a lot of work. Sometimes I find that might be a little bit too loud if the person is getting their face too close to this microphone. So you're ready to record, you hit record. And it's going to record. You can see it's counting off how many seconds it's recorded. But it's very easy to accidentally bump this when you leave this apparatus in the announcer's booth all day long. So then, after you've got it recording where you want, you go back here, and there on the power switch it says hold. Hold means if you slide it up to hold, I'll do this with one hand. There. Hold means you can punch any button you want. Wasn't on hold, was it? Okay, do this again. See how easy it was. Somebody could pick it up and go, what's this? And then you've stopped recording. Let's do this again. So now I'm on recording number 2 on this. No big deal. It'll just start a new file every time you restart. So let's see if I can get this, my thumb in there. Did I get it? Nope, not yet. There we go. Okay, it's on hold now. And I should be able to, yeah, it says, you can't do this. You're on hold. So normally this would be the stop start button for recording. But now I can't do anything to ruin it. It just sits there in the booth, runs all day. And I've got enough cable here so that if you can, and you find a shady spot outside of the booth, you don't even have to go into the sound booth to bother the sound people. You just leave the recorder kind of tossed underneath the building, and you can go in there and stop and start it if you want. And you might want to stop and start it between events or between rounds. Or you don't. You just let it run all day long for 10 hours. That is the recording system. Now, what's in the kit? So, a couple of extra batteries. These are good for at least 5, 6, 7 extra hours over the one AA battery that's in the machine already. And to be honest with you, it doesn't even matter if you leave a dead battery in there all the time, because this thing's got a lot more power than a dead battery. And as long as there is a battery in there, it provides the connection, and you plug in the USB. Now, how do you charge these up? Well, in the kit, I've got this pink USB connection, and on the ends of these are chargers. And you just plug in your pink cable, and then on your computer or your any USB charger, your phone charger, whatever, just plug it in, and in an hour it'll charge this up from fully dead to good for ages and ages. This one's a bigger one. I like using this one. These are just spares, and you can test. Look at that. I've got many hours of, well, I wrote down here once, I've got 6.5 hours. That was on a GoPro. GoPro uses more power than this little recorder does. So yeah, there's at least 15 hours in there of recording. So that's how you charge these up. You keep them in the kit and they're ready to use. I should show you how to delete files on here, because after you've copied them to your computer, you don't need them on here anymore. And there's a menu system on here, and you can reformat the memory card and all that kind of stuff. But the way I do it is I go, okay, so I know I have 5 minutes on here, and I just play, and you could listen to whatever you've got, although what I've got recorded now was recorded by wire, so there was nothing on it. So when it's playing, I go to the side and I can push delete, trash can, and it says, would you like to delete file number 2? That's 0002 is flashing, so that must be file number 2. File number 1, we remember, was about 5 seconds long. So I say yes. Okay, I use this main button, yes, and it fiddles around and it says done. And I must be on file number 1 now, so I can press delete again, It says, would you like to delete number 1? Yes, I would. Done. And because there are no files left, it says you've got 10 hours and 40 minutes. And I know that there are no files saved to this memory card. Nothing is there. And I can go back and do some more recording. Let's shut it off. I push down on the power button, down to the bottom. Let's shoot at the screen here. I hold it down for 2 or 3 seconds, and it says bye. And it's off. You don't need all the parts in here, but that's what I use all of this stuff for. Is there anything else? No, that's all this kit does. So there's a recording device, and I could come out of here, and if I was close enough to my camera, I could put it into channel 1. But if I record, that's completely separate from my camera. And then on my camera, I have 2 channels that I can record, left and right. And I can use the left channel to record with the microphone that's built onto the camera. And the right channel, I can hook up a wireless receiver. And I might have a wireless transmitter mic that is on the other side of the arena, halfway down somewhere, and it's recording the sound of the ropes, and the sound of the horses, and the sound of the hooves, and all of that kind of stuff. And so that would give me 3 different sources of audio for my recording, which is fantastic, because when I sit down to try and edit this all together, I might find that one of those mics was perfect. The next day I go out and record in exactly the same situation. I find out that that mic I used last day is absolutely useless sound because there was some guy standing next to it whose language wasn't learned in a grade 1 classroom. So you never know. And then you have to use a different mic. Or the next time you know that you need to upload to YouTube and you don't want any copyrighted music. So you've got to use this system with the isolator to make sure that you don't have any of the music in the background. Okay, time to quit on this one. Hopefully you've learned a bit on how to hook up an isolated audio source.